Chemistry in everyday life. See, all the material which we are having around us is basically all our chemistry things. Chemistry is everywhere. From early morning to the toothpaste which we use to clean our teeth, and till the late night, whatever the gels and the other hair creams we are using, from food materials to the blood, everything involves chemistry. Chemistry is so much in our day-to-day life that we cannot imagine ever a single moment without the chemistry. Chemistry is the only other science which is able to give us the new products. It is a science which has given us the polymers, it is a science which has given us alloys, it is a science which has given us so much of electronic devices, integrated circuits, ICs and LCDs, etc. So chemistry is phenomenal. It's basically we are trying to understand our surroundings by understanding chemistry. That is why this chapter has been included in the syllabus, which basically is dealing with the three major types of compounds, major type of substances, like the first, drugs and the medicines, the second, the food preservatives, and the third are cleaning agents. Let us start first the drugs. See, we have drugs and their classification first. But before this, you need to understand what exactly the drugs are. Any chemical substance taken for diagnosis, for prevention, for treatment of disease, and for the therapeutic effect, how to cure it, are called drugs. The chemicals which are taken for prevention, diagnosis, treatment, therapeutic effect are called drugs. Now, then what is a medicine is? Medicine are those chemicals which are only taken for therapeutic effect or for the treatment of any particular disease, they are called medicines. So when something happens, then whatever the chemicals we take to cure them are called medicines. But whatever we take before that, something happens just to prevent it or for any diagnosis, those are called drugs. Another important thing, if then the drugs or the medicines are taken, basically the drugs are taken beyond the prescribed limit, they become poisonous. So those poisons are those chemical substances which are harmful to our human system, which are harmful to human beings. Then another thing, what is chemotherapy is? Chemotherapy is, we often relate chemotherapy with cancer. It's not like it. See, treating any disease, any problem, any disease with the effect of what drugs and medicines or drugs or medicines. That means we treat those diseases with the help of drugs or with the help of chemical substances is called chemotherapy. The most commonly used chemotherapies which use is in cancer. We also use this in tuberculosis. Whatever the drugs and the medicines which are given to cure tuberculosis is a type of a chemotherapy. Classification of drugs. See, drugs are classified mainly on the basis of these four parameters. The first is on the basis of pharmacological effect. What sort of effect a drug is having? This gives doctors a very useful information or a very sort of a wide range. They can use those drugs mainly for the treatment of the particular type of diseases or the number of various types of diseases which they can be used. So pharmacological effect of a drug, what effect it shows on a body, that is basically there. Like all painkillers we know, they will be giving us relief from the pain. They can be used for giving relief for any sort of a pain we have. So these are the common examples. Then drug action. What drug basically action it shows when it is taken inside the body. What action it shows. What basically is the chemical process it starts or it stops. So that is another very important information we need to know. Like all histamines we know, antihistamines, they stop the interaction of the histamine, the chemical substances which are secreted after the allergic action. They stop its secretion. So they just prevent the allergic action. So what action that drug does when it is taken in the body, that is a very useful information, and on the basis of that we also classify the drugs. Then on the basis of chemical structure, yes, like I can give an example. Most of our sexual growth and other things are related to the steroids which we take. Our mental things are related to the mental development, and our physical and mental development is basically related to the hormones which are produced inside our body by endocrine glands. Now, those hormones can be substituted if they are secreted less or more mainly if in cases of less, they can be substituted by the synthetic same structure compounds, which are again are artificial steroids taken in the form of either pills or injections. So what we have done is we have realized their structures, that okay fine, these type of structure, molecular structures or compounds with the same type of molecular structure will be having such a kind of an effect. So on the basis of those, we have classified them as steroids or hormones like sort of things. So that is what the chemical substances which has been prepared are called, basically the artificial steroids or artificial hormones, which are taken to cure those kind of problems. So chemical structure is another very important basis of classifying the drugs, because then again the same type of compounds which whether they are artificially prepared in the lab will be giving us the same kind of an effect. Then molecular targets. Which particular type of molecular system or molecules we want to target? Like we want to target carbohydrates, we want to target lipids, we want to target some proteins. So again, those targets again can decide the classification of the drugs. Like the drugs for the carbohydrates will be different from the drugs which are taken for targeting the proteins. So that is how we can also classify the drugs on the basis of the molecular targets they have.